Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's very exciting video. I have made a camera upgrade, and the only thing I can think of is Joe Exotic, and I'm never going to financially recover from this line. I will. It was just it's a nice camera, and I went out this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend, so I've had a nice 3-day weekend. So I really wanted to go out and put the new camera through the paces and just go to like all my favorite spots and try some new places, or maybe go some places I haven't been in a while. And so anyways, and then I wanted to just put together a video of all the clips that I shot over the weekend. So that's what this is. So I'm just going to let them play. And after the fact, we can talk about the new camera, sort of my initial sort of feelings about it and how I like it. And yeah, and I'll tell you the story about how I actually came around to buying this camera. So anyways, yeah, enjoy, and we'll talk at the end of the video.
Ya nos regresamos y vamos a ir hasta donde
All right, so there's the clips that I recorded all this week with the new camera, and yeah, I guess I did just want to take a little bit of time here at the end to kind of tell the story about why I upgraded and how I did it. So, I think I decided back in February that I was going to start looking into doing a camera upgrade, and I think I remember hearing that the A7R5 was supposed to be coming out towards the end of this year, so the end of 2022. So I thought that might be like a good, that might be a good like upgrade path for me. But then when I started putting together the Alaska trip, that I'm going to Alaska in the end of August into the very beginning of September, I thought, okay, well, I may not want to wait all the way until the end of 2022. I kind of want to make sure I have a camera upgrade before I go to Alaska in August. So, I kind of started saving money. Yeah, it was probably around February, and like I I do perfectly fine for myself. I'm not rich by any means, but I do fine for myself. So if I dedicate and start saving money and putting away money to try to buy a new camera, I'm able to do that. But I can't just go out and buy it like straight up, like this is something I would need to save for. So I started saving in February, and I think I started looking at the A1 and just thinking, oh man, that would be so nice, but man, it is so expensive. But I was like, well, I mean, if I save and am good about it, then I could probably make this happen by August. So that was kind of my initial timeline, was to make this upgrade probably later in the summer, before I left. The other problem that kind of complicated things, though, is the camera companies, like the camera makers, have been hit really hard by the sort of like the supply issues and the chip shortage. So a lot of the new cameras, like the A1 or like the new Nikon, the Z9, they're never in stock because they're just so hard to come by. There's just a total shortage of them. So whenever one shows up, say if you look on Amazon, there may be a couple in stock, but if you check like the next day, they'll be gone again. And so yeah, it's tough to find one. Even if I had the money, like I was fully ready to go right now, there's no guarantee I could even go out and buy one. I mean, so I had been kind of checking around some of the local camera shops here too, just to see if they get them in stock, or like if how hard it was going to be to find one. And they don't have them in stock very often either. So last Saturday, I hadn't checked in a while. So this was the mistake. This is what got me in. I was like, well, maybe I should. I'm gonna call up Mike's Camera, the one here in Denver on Colorado Boulevard. So it's been really good for me. I've bought tripods there before. I've bought a few lenses there before, and I know other people may not have good experience with them, but I always have. They've always been good for me. So I gave them a call just to see if they had one in stock, and of course they didn't. And the guy said, yeah, no, with the supply issues, we just can't keep them in. Like, we'll get one or two, but then they sell like pretty quick. And he's like, well, I'm looking in the computer though, and it looks like the Mike's Camera out in Lone Tree, the one out by Park Meadows Mall, may have one in stock. He's like, if you're interested, just give him a call. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I am kind of interested. So I called him up and talked to a very nice lady there. She was like, yep, I do have one. We had two, but one sold yesterday. So we have the one in stock. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, well, do you want me to put it on hold for you? And I was like, no. I was like, I told her my sob story. I was like, I'm saving up, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm close, but I don't think I'm ready yet. And she said, well, are you going to be trading in like an older camera? I said, yeah. And she said, well, what are you shooting now? And I was like, well, I'm using a Sony A7R3. And she's like, okay, well, I mean, if you're going to trade that in, those still are in pretty good demand. And, like, are you sure you wouldn't want to just like bring it in and maybe just see? And I was like, see, that's all I needed. I just needed one little glimmer of hope. And I was like, yep, I'm on my way. So I took my A7R3, and I had two other older Sony cameras that I wasn't using anymore. I had my original A7, and then I had an A6000. It's this little camera that I was using to shoot video for a while, and I just haven't used it in a while. So I took those with me too. Just again, I don't know if they had any value or not, because they're both older cameras. But hey, I would take at this point any help I could get, I would take. So so I loaded everything up and went down to Mike's Camera in Lone Tree, and they took everything. They took the A7R3, they took my old A7, they took the A6000, they took everything. They were like, yep. With how short cameras are right now, we need, even if they're old, we'll take them. So I didn't get a ton of money for the older cameras, but it helped. And what they gave me for the A7R3, I was able to get there and make it work. And so I got an A1, and that's how it all kind of happened. And it was the only one they had in stock. So I think I was pretty lucky. And it was hard to stomach making a purchase like that. But I think about how often I go out to shoot, and I sometimes will go out 3-4 days a week, depending on how busy I am at work, and sometimes I'm not going very far away, but I go out and just shoot all the time. So I think it'll be a worthy investment, and is a camera that will now have to last me a very long time. So but yeah, it was cool. And like I said, the Mike's Camera people worked with me, and they were really great. The dog is chasing, of course, his rawhide bone around on hardwood floor. But anyways, so that was how it all went down. And so far, shooting with it extensively this weekend, there's definitely a couple things that I've noticed that is a huge improvement over the A7R3. First is the eye detect autofocus for wildlife. On the A7R3, it has eye detection, but it doesn't work as good as it does on the A1. The A1, you can set specifically human eye detect, animal eye detect, bird eye detect, and once you dial that stuff in, like the little baby owlets that I shot in the video, that's usually a tough shot for my A7R3, because it's back in this tree, and there's a bunch of leaves that are always blowing like in front of them. And so the autofocus on the A7R3 will then pick up on the leaves and then back to the owls, and it jumps in and out of focus. But with the A1, as soon as it locks on the eye autofocus point for that little owl, it keeps locked on that no matter what, no matter how many leaves or branches blow and mess with the autofocus. The A1, it just locks in, and that's how you get those really crisp shots. So the autofocus is definitely better on the A1 by a lot. Like that technology leap from the R3 to the A1 is huge. So I really like that so far. And also, this is going to seem like a silly one, but it's the fact that on the exposure compensation wheel on the A7R3, there's no locking mechanism on it. So like when I throw the camera over my shoulder, like sometimes it'll rub and it'll knock my exposure compensation like all out of whack. Or like if the camera's in the bag, sometimes it adjusts the exposure compensation really easily. And so then I'll get in and start shooting, and I'm like, man, why are my shots like blown out? And then, I eventually realize, I'm like, oh, because the exposure compensation wheel went to +4. So on the A1, it's got a locking mechanism so that you can't adjust it unless you actually unlock it. So I really like that. And all the other sort of dials that have like all the quick sort of like functions that you would have to go into the menu on the A7R3 that I can now just adjust physically with the dial is huge. I really, really like that. Megapixel wise, the sensor it's obviously newer, and it's more megapixels. So the image quality is definitely a little bit better. The video quality that I can shoot, I can shoot up to 8K. I might start dabbling and doing some 4K stuff. I thought about maybe shooting this in 4K, but I don't know. I still think HD is fine. And I also worry that maybe I'm not sure if my computer could handle editing 4K, but I might try it. So anyways, that's sort of my initial thoughts about the A1. I mean, I think you can see in the video and then the images that I'm going to put up on my Substack. I mean, you'll be able to see just how sharp they are. And I always think that's like, well, if you can take a photo straight off the memory card and not have to do a ton of editing, I think that says a lot. And a lot of these, I mean, I'll just zoom in and crop in as far as I can go, and just how sharp and crisp they are. It's unreal. So anyways, yeah, that's my initial thoughts about the A1 and how I came around to actually buying one. And yeah, it's exciting and a little makes me a little uneasy because again, it's a pretty big purchase, but again, I think worth it, and I think will be a good investment for me. Because this is what I love to do. So, yeah. So, anyways, that's the story about it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video clips. It was a great weekend. Most of the places I went to had what I was looking for. It was it was great. It never works out like that. So the fact that I was able to do that this weekend was amazing. So, anyways, hope you liked the video, and we'll be back with another one soon. Thanks.
Thank you.